Hello, it's your MC operator here. Hi there. How's everybody doing today? Well, welcome back to number 2 in our series of all about the basics. I'd like to thank one of my subscribers and long time, decades long time good friend, Andy. She asked for basically Firearms 101. She hadn't touched her firearm for decades, and so she really wanted sort of a refresher on some things. And so this is number 2 in that series. We actually took care of number 1 first, and number 1 was all about safety. So if you haven't seen that, please go back and look at the 4 rules / 5 rules of safety. But today we're going to be talking about the grip. The grip is super important because with a firearm, you want to make sure that you're in control of the firearm. And so you don't want the firearm to have control over you. You don't want to be intimidated by the firearm. You want to make sure that you're in control. And so before we get into all that, again, in the efforts of safety, we have no live rounds in the room. We have separated all that into another safe area. But we do want to make sure that we show clear on the firearm so we know we're working with a safe firearm there. So we will drop out the magazine. Nothing in the magazine. We want to go ahead and lock the slide back and check for brass. Do we see any brass? We see nothing in the chamber, nothing in the well, so we know we're dealing with a safe firearm. To double check that, we will rack it a couple times to make sure we're safe, and then we can insert the empty magazine back in the firearm. Also too, it's important to establish downrange when you're in the home. So obviously if there's anyone in the house in one direction, that's obviously the unsafe direction, because we always going to treat our firearms like as if they are loaded. So for today, our safe direction is that direction there. That's where we're going to be keeping the firearm for safety. So again, with our firearm, the way this firearm operates, basically we want to make sure that we are in control, and it's going to do as much as it can to find the path of least resistance. So if we could, without impeding the operation of the firearm, we'd have our hand almost on top of it just to make sure we knew where it was going. Well, obviously we can't do that because we'd impede the operation of the firearm. So we want to be as close to that as possible. So obviously we see the back area here, I got a little tang here. So we want to be as close to the top of this firearm as possible. So we want to be as high on the back of this firearm as we possibly can. I say, let's see some fat develop back there. We want to really be as high as possible. And as you can see, my thumb is pointing towards the sky. And the reason why I'm doing that is so basically I can really establish this real estate here. So again, my fingers are really pretty tight. Thumb to the sky. Now, because we want to take up this real estate, because this firearm again would, if we did not, it would really be trying to shoot this way, because it would try to get to the path of least resistance. So we want to take up this real estate with our offhand. And so basically we want to be at a 45-degree angle, and we want to back the meaty part of our hand right into the other meaty part of our hand. So 45-degree angle, back it right in there, and that thumb right on top. And then as we come under here, we'll wrap right under here. And now we want our offhand, which will be now my left hand because I'm right-handed, to really be controlling this firearm, almost death gripping it to the point where just short of trembling. So we don't want to be so tight that we're making the firearm tremble, but we want to be super tight. And with our strong hand, we want to be tight, but not so tight that we can't operate the safety finger once we decide to put it into the trigger well. So right hand is tight, left hand is super tight. And again, we're married, there's no gaps back there. So we are all one unit. And once we have that, when we go down range, you'll notice I have kind of a bowed sort of dance space, like in Dirty Dancing. This is my dance space, that's your dance space. So nice shock absorbers really is what they are. And so as we take that position, we have a nice bow which will operate as our shock absorbers. But so we don't want to be extended out, we don't want to be too close. We want to have a nice little sort of circumference that gives you a firm grip, but also it gives you some give. So that way when the firearm does actually manipulate, your shock absorbers will take a lot of that stress. And so again, expose the real estate, offhand, 45-degree angle, sink it in, thumb on the back, wrap underneath, both hands tight, left hand as tight as possible without making the firearm tremble. Find your sights, get your target and your sights, deploy the round. Now also too, we want to talk about follow through. So basically once you've put that round down range, we want to make sure we reacquire the sights on our target, and then we want to take the finger out of the trigger well, put that safety finger back on the side, come back, then we'll set it down. Okay, that's called follow through. So when you do, and let's talk about our first trip to the range. Hopefully, because I am an advocate of getting professional training, hopefully you go with a personal trainer who knows what they're doing. But if you go by yourself, I would suggest that you put one round in the magazine, and because you're going to be going to a new environment, it's going to be loud, you're already going to have some anxiety because it's your first time at the range, or maybe first time in a long time. There's going to be other people shooting around you. Some might be shooting calibers that are larger, maybe even ARs, or so it's going to be a loud environment. I'd also suggest you, instead of renting the equipment at a range, at least buying your own electronic ear protection, because that will really help mitigate the bad sound, but it'll also help in your process of hearing if you're talking to someone who's training you, or just someone you may have gone with a friend. But it'll keep you from having to really sort of risk your hearing by I can't hear you, and you try to sneak it an ear protection off to hear what they're saying. Invest in the ear protection. It's super important. But again, I would suggest one round in the chamber when you decide to finally put the first one down range, because what's going to happen is that thing is going to go off, and it might startle you. And if you're startled, again, you might have that sort of experience when you were a kid learning how to drive, and you have your hands at 10 and 2, and somebody talked to you to the passenger seat. You're like, what? Oh, and then all of a sudden your car. Oh, you're looking in your blind spot. Okay. Well, same thing can happen with a firearm. When you have that first round go off, and you might freak out. And all of a sudden, your firearm is going in direction you don't want it to. Unfortunately, that's a natural growth process, because it is an environment that you're not going to be used to right away. So you want to again think about putting that one round down range, seeing your sights re-engage with your target. That way you're safe to take your finger out of the trigger well, back, and set it down. It's called follow through. Also, a very important part of your shooting process. Because also follow through will allow you to, once you do put extra cartridges in the magazine, that follow through, bang, okay, there's my sights again. Oh, bang, oh, there it is, bang, bang, out, back. Okay, but it keeps you safe. It keeps the people around you safe. It keeps your wallet safe, because if you were to deploy around from freaking out into the equipment at the range, well, they're not going to just let you say, oh, my bad. No, that's going to be repairs in the hundreds of dollars, and so, and nobody wants to go to the range and after spending, X amount of dollars on a firearm, X amount on the ammunition, to go, oh, well, and you really just bought some equipment, so here's another $600, $700 bill for shooting my rail. You don't need that in your life. I'm sure you can find a whole lot better things to do with $500 to $700, than fix a rail for someone else. So understand going in, the environment's going to be different, and so you'll need to sort of assimilate to that, and until you're comfortable, make sure you really follow all those processes. And again, even more important, invest in your craft and find a reputable trainer who can sort of really help you through that first process and really help you along the way. But your first on the range, your first time to the range, it's really a good idea to have a professional trainer with you. But so we're going to go over this one last time, and then we will wrap it up. So again, we want to be as high as we possibly can on the back of this firearm. Let some fat develop. We want to take up this real estate, 45-degree angle, sink that thing in there, thumb on the back. We want to go ahead and wrap underneath, really strong with your left hand or offhand, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Also strong with your strong hand, but not so much that it's going to impede your safety finger from working the trigger and manipulating the trigger. We have our downrange. We now have acquired our sights. We have our shock absorbers here. We go ahead and deploy a round. Bang. Second round. Bang. Out. Back. Down. And we're safe. Again, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, by all means, put them in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Please like and subscribe. But I just want to thank you for your time and your support. And I also want to thank the people who support me. Obviously, I have a couple of gun stores that support me. Integrity Arms, thank you so much. The Stockton Gun Exchange, thank you as well. There are just a lot of people who I really want to support back, and also thank my wife. I do this because I love it, and there's just no other reason. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing evening. It's your MC Operator signing out. Thank you so much.